Well, let's bring you the very latest now as the counting continues. We are joined now by our Chief Election Analyst, Tom Connell. Tom, we're seeing very close contests, nervous times for a lot of candidates still, particularly in a handful of Teal seats.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, remember, regardless of the fact that this is a crushing majority for Labor, for every undecided seat is someone who's they don't know if they've got a job in the next few weeks. We know Labor is going to have a clear majority. The questions are the big ones are going to be, where is the coalition rebuilding from, given they're on 39 now? They will get a few more seats than that. Also, Climate 200 seats, or Teal seats, they're on 5, so at the moment not quite at the 6 in the Greens at the moment. On 0, I expect they'll get 1 or 2, but no more than that. At the start of the day we thought it might be a little bit more. If we have a look at some of the really, really close contests right now, the one that's really tightened up today is Kooyong. Now, if we just simply look at this stage, ignoring the swings and so on, the gap between the two in terms of votes. So you're talking about a gap there of about 1,400 votes, 1,408 votes in fact. When we look at how that might close, because that lead is Monique Ryan's lead at the moment, 1,408 votes. These are the postals that have come in so far. We've actually, there you go, 9,870. On those so far, you see that the amount Amelia Hamer is catching up as 1,400 votes. So, depending on how much more postal is out there, and my best estimate is about 8,000 or so. 2,400 in fact is how much she's caught up. So she would likely just go ahead, perhaps by 200 or 300, depending on how many postal votes are out there. We can guess, we know how many people applied for them, we don't know exactly how many are returned, and then it needs to keep going at that high rate of 62% for Amelia Hamer to catch up. So this is the complicated math going on right now. Part of this is an unknown, and Monique Ryan would likely make some ground back on the absent votes and declaration pre-poll votes. They're people that vote beforehand in another electorate. She might make 500 or 600 up. These are broad guesses, they're usually pretty accurate, but the point is, this could come down to 50 or 100 votes. At the start of the day, Monique Ryan was looking like she'd lead by 500 or 1,000, so that has dramatically tightened, is what you need to know there. The other one that's looking very, very close now is Bradfield as well. This is one that Climate 200 is trying to pick up, perhaps to offset the loss of Kooyong and Goldstein, which it looks like they're going to lose as well, which we've gone through today. Similar story here. It is a smaller gap, you can see there, in terms of the lead for Nicolette Buller. So that's the first bad sign for her. It's a smaller gap. When we look at the two-party preferred, in fact, let's look at the postal of this and the amount of postal vote coming back. Again, how does that gap close up? Will it close up is always the question. You can see here a big gain so far in terms of those votes. So about 1,700 gain, but there is not as much postal left in Bradfield because a lot of pre-poll came in. So there might only be 6,000 or so more votes, meaning she'll probably edge ahead or be quite tight on that. The difference here is last election, the same independent Nicolette Buller run, and she didn't actually make much ground at all on the absent and declaration pre-poll votes. So we'll need to see them coming in to have any idea how they might flow. You have some trends in some vote types. Pre-poll and postal generally go better for Conservatives, absent less so. In this electorate, that wasn't the case last time. So there's just too many permutations right now to be able to say where these will go, but they're both going to be within a few hundred votes overall once the rest of the tally comes in.
And Tom, what about the Senate? I know this can be complicated. Just give us a snapshot of how that's looking.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the Senate. So if we have a look at the before, we'll bring that up for our viewers on the full screen, where the Senate was effectively at in terms of who was, where Labor was positioned, if you like. 25 positions they had. We know they lost, for example, Lydia Thorpe during the last term as well. And if we look at where they're at, not Lydia Thorpe, but I should say Fatima Payman, so 25, if we can bring that graphic up, that would be great, where Labor was at. The sum for them right now is, can they turn the previous Senate and get some more positions, some more seats in it, and be able to have just Labor and the Greens votes to be able to do that. How will they do that? I'm not seeing anything appear, so I'll just wander into where the actual Senate goes. Essentially, Labor needs to win 3 net positions to get to 28. If they do that, they have the Greens 11 votes and they get to 39. How do they do that? I'll just show you a couple of instances. The top is how many people are recontesting or up for re-election. So Labor had only 1 in Queensland in 2019. They've got 2 quotas with 30% of the vote. So they will definitely add 1, for example, in Queensland. Another really strong one for them is South Australia. So again, they're defending 2 With 37% of the vote, they have 2.6 quotas. Highly likely on those numbers to get a third. There's 2 gains. They'd only need 1 more to get that final one to get up to 28. As you can see there, they're defending 2 in New South Wales. 2.6 again is the equation, and they'd need to get that third one against, say, One Nation on 0.4. Just because you're 2.6 doesn't mean you beat 0.4. To get that quota, that's where they distribute all these preferences. So, for example, One Nation, they'd get some help from the Trumpets, get some help from Family First as well. Legalise cannabis as a left-wing sort of party would generally help Labor, but some of their vote will be needed to top up the Greens. So it gets very complicated. I'd say it's going to be pretty close in New South Wales as whether it's Labor and One Nation, but Labor have several paths to get that final 28th. Right now it's looking good, but we need to see some more vote counted.
Tom Connell, appreciate your analysis. Thank you. Of course, Tom's going to keep keeping a very close eye on that as the votes continue to come through, and we will keep you up to date with any big developments, of course, on the program as they happen.